This is the Mulligan Stew Podcast. I'm Terry David Mulligan. The guest this week is Joe Shithead. His real name is Joe Keithley. He was a long-time vocal presence, stage snarl, lead singer for DOA, one of the original great punk bands in the world of rock. He's a Burnaby kid, grew up in Burnaby, and decided somewhere along the way during his career breaks that he could help his hometown by running for office, city council. I think he told me he tried it 3 times and got no votes. But on the 4th, he started knocking on doors, he and his family. And he just kept knocking on doors. I think he said 12,000 in a previous interview. Anyway, it worked. And he's just finished his first session as a city councillor. And right away, on October the 15th, he will be up for reelection in Burnaby. Now, this is not a political show, by any stretch. But it's Joe Keithley. It's DOA. He still goes out and tours with his band, and he's a city councillor. It's a fascinating study, which is why there's a documentary being shot right now. And as he'll tell you, Beto O'Rourke is part of that documentary. That documentary is called Something Better Change, which of course is the title of one of Joe's albums and songs. Okay, so Joe Keithley. I'm going to ask him to give his campaign speech, if it's okay with you. We just, as I say, we don't do politics. But we love Joe Keithley. And if you want to help him out, at the end of the interview, I'll give you his email. You can write him because he could use some volunteers and support. This is October the 1st. 15th is going to come along very quickly. If you can help him out, and if you're a DOA fan, he's a guy worth helping out. Here's a conversation with Joe Keithley. Hi, Joe.
Hi, how you doing?
I'm good, man.
Good.
So here we are. We've turned the corner. It's October, and it's election time in Burnaby. Which begs 2 questions, Joe. Why did you run for office? Why do you want to do this? Why do you want this grief? And why Burnaby?
I grew up in Burnaby. I love this town, and so I've lived here all my life. My wife and I have raised 3 kids here, and it's a great place. Burnaby's a wonderful place. 25% of the city is our parks or green space, a really high percentage, and it's got lakes, it's got water, everything. Why do I want to do it? Because I believe in helping people. Okay. And that, Terry, that was always my mantra in DOA. Besides playing loud, fast music, was to get out there and take on causes I thought were important.
What are your causes now, Joe?
Well, in the election type perspective, and for all the citizens, right? I mean, the number one is lack of housing and housing affordability. Personally, I don't think that will actually make houses affordable to buy. Yeah. So the plan that I've worked on is trying to make affordable rental housing and more co-ops. In this day and age, with this hyper raise of prices, even if it does have a bit of a depression in price over the next 6 months, year, it's still unaffordable to 80% of the people, right? So the way to go at for now, at least, is to get affordable rentals.
That's a lifetime job, Joe.
Well, that's why I'm into looking for my second term. I don't have a lifetime left to spend on it, but hopefully I can get the ship turned in the right direction. It's been going in the wrong direction for quite a while. Did
you have anybody that that you trusted tell you, don't do this, don't do that? Don't want to do it. You're going to be miserable.
No, not really. When I got elected in 2018, the results were close. There was 8 council spots in Burnaby, and I was in 9th. And then finally, my daughter, she said, "Dad, you're in 7th." And she started jumping up and down, with happiness type thing. My wife did too. And I finally finished in 8th, and everybody's so happy. Look, you won. There was about 50 people over my house, and then I actually went off to the garage at that point. And I went out and got a beer, and I opened the beer and I went, what the hell have I just done? But it's been really fun. I enjoy working with our mayor, Mike Hurley. He's been great. And we've made a great positive change in Burnaby since being elected.
Joe, when you get in those council sessions, you know, they have a certain rhythm. There's a little aggrandizing over here. There's a little boasting over here. The little pushback from one guy, from someone else on the thing. How do you bite your tongue? How do you carry yourself in that room?
Well, I mean, I think the thing is that because it's such a small amount of people, like we have 8 councillors and a mayor, so a total of 9, right? Vancouver's not much bigger. That's only 11, right? To decide the policy of the city. It's not like you don't do the grandstanding like you see on TV with the provincial legislature or like in Ottawa, where they get up, they stand up, button up the one button on their suit jacket and point their finger and make all sorts of outrageous accusations that the other person to come up with an idea like this must be in league with the devil or something, right? So you got to keep the personal stuff out of it, but maintain a friendly relationship. And, you usually talk about this stuff beforehand, before it gets to a council meeting.
Yeah.
Although the one thing you don't meet in private if there's 5, because that's considered a quorum. And every time council meets, it has to be advertised. Otherwise, it's constituted as like an illegal meeting of council, right?
Wow.
But if it's somebody in the hallway before the meeting, you just say, like, what do you think about this? And you get their take on it, usually, hopefully, honestly. And then, you kind of have an idea where that bylaw is going.
In order of appearance, Joe Keithley, Councillor Keithley, people's rights, very important to you. I know that. You're part of the regional water district, are you not?
Yeah, I'm a director on the Metro Van Water Committee.
Well, maybe not in our lifetime, but water is going to become incredibly important, as you well know.
Yeah.
Affordable housing, as you said, quality child care. You want to help the most vulnerable. Who are they?
Vulnerable, funnily enough, it's not just people. It's funny, like people that become homeless. They usually start out, couch surfing, or maybe sleeping in their car, and then when they can't afford the insurance for the car or the gas, to get rid of the car, and that's when they end up under the bridge or like in a park in a tent or something like that, right? But the other thing that's really overlooked here in our society is like the amount of poverty that there is with seniors. And I think that's something that really has to be addressed as quickly as we can, because look, those are the people that built our community, right? And spent their whole lives here working and building up our society.
How bad is the drug problem on the streets, Joe?
Well, I wouldn't put it as bad as it's not like the downtown east side.
Right.
Downtown east side is obviously like
few are
sadly a magnet for people with a lot of troubles, or maybe a few troubles, and they get down there and they I hate to say it, but they end up with more troubles, right? You've seen what's going on the news, or just if you walk through the area type thing. I think the drug problem is a major thing. But the other thing, because I have worked on this with like Fraser Health, seeing what we can do in Burnaby, is that I don't know what the percentage is, but a large part of drug overdoses are people that you don't picture to be street people.
Exactly.
It's like a lot of men between 30 and 55, and they're usually by themselves. Yep. So there's no way to revitalize them. In the street, you might even have a better chance, because somebody will go like, because they all, there's a culture there. They all know each other, right? So there's some chance to gain like naloxone or something like that to revive somebody. So I said that it's a big, big problem. I don't really have the answer for it.
Yeah. Is it your problem? Is it the council's problem, or is it a policing problem?
Well, the first thing, I don't think it's a policing problem, because I think like if you're doing wellness checks or like car 87 or something like that, then you need health workers to deal with people like that. Because it doesn't matter how well-intentioned the police are, a lot of people just react badly when they see somebody in a uniform with a gun, if they've had some trouble in their lives. Like, a policeman approaches me, I don't have a problem, right? But a lot of people are not like me, right? So, and I also got to think that it's really like legalization and trying to help people like through a multi-step process that rather than treating the drug problem like a criminal problem, has to be treated as a medical problem. And people have been saying that for like 30 years. It's no secret. I mean, they had a massive, massive drug problem in Portugal, and they end up legalizing the drug problem. And that, guess what? It didn't completely solve it, but it solved it. It's better than it was, put it that way.
Well, that's a hard one to answer. I'm going to ask you two things, and I'll let you go. Since I've last talked to you, and before this election, you went on tour. Where'd you go?
Yeah.
What'd you do?
Well, I went on tour. We went to Ontario and Quebec. That was fantastic. Yep. We haven't been out there in about 3 years, and it was great. It was great to play again. We did 35 shows since last December with DOA, ranging from Texas to Ontario to California, like our main stomping grounds down there. Like California is kind of my home away from home. That's where DOA really took off, right? And I played in the Golden State probably, 400 shows or something like that.
Did it feel like old times?
We had a lot of people showed up like old time fans. Old buddy Duck McKeegan from Guns N' Roses, he came out hanging out, and people from all sorts of bands, from big, well-known bands, lesser-known bands, right? So old-time friends, right? And people were just glad to be out because they opened up their venues a lot earlier than we did, but still it was like, no, we got DOA. These guys are one of the originators of this whole thing. It's kind of like they helped write the book on punk rock, right? So lots of people showed up and they had a great time.
Rock and roll dead?
No, I mean, at times it seems like it's on life support, but it's a competition. I mean, hey, you've been in the music business forever, just like me. Things change, tastes change, right? And I think
they go in a circle too. They go in a circle too. They do come back.
I had an old manager who would always just say, "Don't worry, in 10 years, this is gonna be back. It's gonna be back."
How's the documentary going?
Documentary is going great. We got for people that haven't heard, it's called Something Better Change, and it's a little bit about DOA, but it's more of my transition into politics, and it will be out. The schedule now is to have it out March 2024, which will coincide, because it's an American company that's doing it, coincide with the presidential elections in the United States, right?
Okay.
So that's what we're aiming for, maybe like Sundance as a kickoff for it, right? So, and then the crew was up here in October filming me door knocking, canvassing at rallies, rah-rahing, all that type of thing.
Maybe they'll use some of this interview. Maybe they let them know.
It's like, and then in the campaign, Terry, there's one thing I'm going to do. It was Jello Biafra from the Dead Kennedys told me, just said that, Joe, you got to stand on your record because you've got lots of good records.
And you did tell me that Beto O'Rourke is in someone?
We have a one chunk with him. We're hoping to get more like after this gubernatorial race in Texas, which I sure hope he wins, because Governor Abbott in Texas got to be one of the worst governors in the entire
he's a bad human.
Entire United States, right? Yeah. So he's like a terrible person. It's kind of like Rick DeSantis.
Have you written your campaign speech?
It's kind of a short one.
Give it to me. What do you got? Let's have it.
Okay. I'm just going to read up. Before being elected in 2018, I spent my life playing music around the world with my award-winning band DOA, and that helped make me a different kind of politician. That's where I learned to listen, and I believe that listening to our residents is job number one. This life experience has helped me understand and appreciate Burnaby's great diversity, which is part of our strength. I'm also a firm believer in making truth and reconciliation a reality. As city councillor, I have worked hard to get affordable rental housing built, and I had a big hand in creating Canada's strongest tenant protection policy. The Burnaby Green Party has never taken money from developers and never will. Big priorities for me are also to create affordable daycare and more support for our wonderful seniors who built this community. They've told me that handy dart isn't working well, so I would create a bus service to serve our seniors and those with disabilities. Also believe we must hold the line on taxes. You work too hard for money for it to be wasted. We also need, of course, to fight climate change. As chair of the Burnaby Environment Committee, I've overseen and initiated many projects to reduce greenhouse gases and protect our environment. I'll rapidly increase our sidewalk and cycling infrastructure so people can access it, what they need without a car, 15-minute city. And I'm dead set against the expansion of the Trans Mountain Pipeline. I've also created the initiation of new community gardens. We hope to have at least 20 more community gardens in Burnaby within 3 years. And finally, this is one of my favorites. I created a music charity called Harmony for All, which we just got a $10,000 donation from the Burnaby firefighters this morning. This gets musical instruments into the hands of Burnaby's youth that can't afford them, and music lessons to go with it.
Did you do a fundraiser for yourself, for your campaign?
We did one at Old Lockdale Hall in North Burnaby, which is the very first place where I ever saw a rock show in my life when I was like 14 years old.
Yeah.
And the band there at the time had 50 people, and me and my friends like Wimpy Roy and Dimwit and Jerry Hanna, we all said, wow, if we could only be this big one day, right?
Fantastic. Do you need volunteers or anything?
We're looking for volunteers. Just go to BurnabyGreenParty.com and you'll find out how to volunteer, contact us, and we're going up door knocking, canvassing every day.
BurnabyGreenParty.com. Do you have an email people can write?
bgp.joe.keithley@gmail.com.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Listen, October is going to be a blur. We just wish you the best of luck.
Yeah, don't worry. I think we're in good stead. We're going to work like hell to get it done. So.
And don't drop the mic. Get out there, do some gigs, stay with us, okay? And good luck on that documentary.
Yeah, thank you very much, Sir Terry.
Joe Keithley, City Councillor in Burnaby, Mr. Shithead to you, lead singer of DOA, longtime friend. Now, the email that he gave out, if you'd like to help the campaign, because the election is on the 15th of October, BGP, that's Burnaby Green Party. So bgp.joe.keithley@gmail.com. bgp.joe.keithley@gmail.com. Go Joe. Go Joe. We need more Joes just like him in our politics, in our world, frankly. All right, Joe, thank you, man. It's going to be a busy October. Lots of interviews coming. This is the Mulligan Stew Podcast. If you feel so inclined, if you'd like to help us out, subscribe. Spotify, Google Play, Apple Podcasts, wherever. Subscribe and let people know you like the show. Thank you. Appreciate it.